Hi everybody! Welcome back to Golden Rosa Oracle. I'm happy that you're here today. Today I'm just going to do a quick elemental reading for the month of October. We finally made it here to officially fall in the Northern Hemisphere. So it's a nice cozy time of the year. We start to turn inward. We start to have some of our fall holidays. We have Halloween and All Saints Day and Diwali, one of my favorites. So it's a very inspirational month. It's a very beautiful month, and I'm excited to see what comes through. And as always, with the elemental readings, these are just sort of little inspirations, little rabbit holes to go down. My point being, if your own intuition takes you in a different direction than what I read off the card, please go with that. You know, these are just energies to inspire us to having a little more sort of dynamic relationship with the time of year that we're in. So let's see what archetypes come through. We're going to work with the plants, the crystals, the animals, and also get a card from the Divine Destiny deck. All right. Excuse me. So starting off with the plants today. Our dear plant spirits, do you have a message for us going into this magical witchy month of October? Ooh, right off the bat, I'm just going to take the top one. Very interesting. We have Maita Ragana. Maita Ragana? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Forgive me if I'm not. But really cool. Its keyword is shape-shifting. That's awesome. All right. The message is subconscious healing, synchronizing inner and outer worlds, shape-shifting, time travel, and transcendence of illusion. Very cool, because we talk about, like, you know, Halloween time being when the veils are the thinnest between the spirit worlds. So that's very interesting. When this energy is reversed or its more negative expression, it can mean obsessive thoughts, illusionary facade, addiction, self-abandonment, unable to grow, and stagnancy. And the astrological rulers are Saturn and Neptune. That's a really interesting mix, because you have Saturn, which is all about structure, and then you have Neptune, which is very dreamy, expansive energy. So very interesting that this plant embodies both those energies. So a little historical background on this plant. It is a plant that the indigenous people of Southeast Asia have used for thousands of years to treat wounds, as well as for a variety of symptoms, including stress, pain, fatigue, and fever. And it's also known as cretonne, which is a well-known opium substitute. Yeah, I've actually heard of this plant as a pain relief medicine. It does have, in its physical use, a bit of controversy around whether or not it's safe to use. But all plants can be used, not used, so there's the wrong word. All plants can be communed with on a spiritual level. And so you can always call in the spirit of any plant without using it physically. And the guidance of this plant is the balanced side of Maita. I'm so sorry, I really have no idea how to pronounce it. Mitogania represents the ability to shapeshift and adapt across realities. Like Dragonfly, Mitogandria grants us the power to break through the illusionary facade we accept as reality, providing us the freedom from pain in order to break through limiting illusions. Dragonfly, like Mitogania, I'm going to say it wrong and different every time. Mitogania helps us initiate subconscious healing from trauma experienced from the endless cycle of pain and suffering. Dragonfly medicine invites us to seek out the parts of our habits that have gone unnoticed, unchanged, and stagnant. Ask yourself, have I tended to the changes I'm wanting to make? Don't get lost in the labyrinths of self-doubt. Break free from elusive belief systems that hold back your transformation. And I'm just kind of going to go on a tangent here, but this card kind of reminds me of a lot of the spirit of Halloween, not just in that it's a liminal time when the veils come down, but a lot of the imagery of Halloween is very, scary or spooky, and it asks us to really confront our shadows. I love Halloween because it makes you think like, well, what still scares me? Am I afraid of death? Am I afraid of decay? Am I afraid of the end of cycles? Am I afraid of the boogeyman under the bed? So I feel like this is a plant that when we um, connect with its spirit, it helps us to start to break through some of these fear-based beliefs and the pain that's associated with that, because we do get programmed in this life by the events that happen to us that are unfortunately coming to us through channels that aren't clear, pure source energy. We're often, I would say, probably 100% of the time as humans, programmed by the woundedness of other humans. And those programs become solidified into our systems as pain, as trauma, as limited beliefs. And so to really face, what scares you, what hurts you, what makes you feel small, what spooks you, what is that monster under the bed for you. When we start to unravel that, what you're going to find is anything that's not of spirit, in the sense that it's, expansive and loving and light filled and makes you feel good, is an illusionary um, sort of thought form, an illusionary sort of wound to our emotional body. And like I said, it gets passed on, through the generations to every human being alive. But in this time of the thinning veils, when we think about our ancestors and we think about cycles of life and death and rebirth, it's really powerful to imagine our own lives, when we can start to free ourselves from some of these inherited traumas and pains that have just been passed down and then just sort of accepted as like that's reality. So yeah, it's a really, really powerful time of year to dive deep into our darkness and bring it up to light. So thank you for that beautiful message from the plant world. And let's go next and get a animal spirit for the month of October. Dear Spirit, will you please speak to us through our animal friends and bring us an animal spirit to guide us through the month of October. I just painted my nails and they're really messy. You can tell that I am a small YouTuber because you can always tell the ones with large audiences by their immaculate manicures. And I'm just not that girl. And so my sticky nails are kind of sticking to the cards a little bit. Oh, okay. I saw you. You're peeking out. I'm gonna take you. All right. Ooh, we got a whale. Really big, deep energy here. And whale is representing the water element in this deck, which obviously makes a lot of sense. Whale. Desire to delve deeper, profound peace, and ancient wisdom. The whale represents profound emotional health and stability. Whale personalities are not afraid of emotional expression or traversing difficult terrain, as they have overcome many challenges in their life. These experiences have enriched them, giving them stability and strength and a depth that is rare. Whale energy is usually linked to the feminine forces of compassion and communication. We can depend on whale personalities when all else seems lost and trust them to be our beacon in our darkest hour. When in balance, calm, steady, deeply compassionate. When out of balance, heavy, slips into the old story. To bring into balance regular self-care. Wow, that's really cool because that goes so well with our first card, right? To delve deep, find our profound peace. And also, I was speaking on the wounds that we get from our ancestors, but it's true, just as much that we inherit their wisdom, their strengths. Even if we don't have the best relationship with our earthly family in this sort of bodily realm, we can still call upon our ancestors. We can call, the ones on the other side, they always want the best for us. They're always rooting for us. So we always have this extended family and spirit always. So if you feel alone or you feel like, the earthly family you have isn't able to provide you with these sort of stability or healing that you need, you can always call upon your ancestors to help you. Another thing this is making me think of is a card that I pulled recently, which was showing the depths of the ocean. Is the sort of metaphor for reality that on the top of the surface you get these waves, you get this emotional turbulence, and things can seem very stressful and out of control. But deep down, there's always this peace and this divine inner working, and that's the soul. The part of ourselves that isn't really touched or bothered by the things that we experience as humans. It's this very we live in a very multi-dimensional reality because we are very much experiencing our consciousness as limited humans that only live for a certain amount of time, and it can experience a lot of wounding and a lot of things to be afraid of and a lot of instability. But then there's this deeper eternal soul. You think of that whale energy, just that immensity of power and peace. And whales are known to sing. They're known to sort of there's this theory, which I believe that whale songs are one of the things that keep the consciousness of the earth in tune. That there's such power in their songs, and they dive deep. And so I'm not going to keep going on this because I could go for a long time, I think. And it's more important what comes up for you. So if the whale archetype is speaking to you as something to consider or dive into, deeper in this coming month, to traverse your own reality, traverse your own depths, then yeah, please do explore that for yourself. I don't want to put too many words into other people's experiences. All right, moving on. We're gonna go to our crystal friends, our dear crystal and mineral friends. Do you have a message for us for this month of October, please? And we have black tourmaline regeneration. Pluto. It's ruled by Pluto. That's an intense planet. A lot of just death and upheaval, which also goes along with this sort of Halloween theme, right? But profound transformation. The larger the challenge, the larger the gifts too. So we have to remember that going through the sort of deaths of our life are what lead to rebirth of something new. So it's not to be feared, even if it's not fun in the moment. So black tourmaline, which is one of my favorite crystals. If you are a sensitive, energetically sensitive person, I would definitely recommend carrying one on you when you're out in public. I love crystals. They're beautiful. Sometimes I feel the effect that they say they give, and sometimes I don't. But black tourmaline I have as an energetically sensitive person, very strongly been supported by, when I'm going out in the world, or even if I'm just feeling down and low. I personally really do feel like it helps a lot. So the keyword is regeneration. Black tourmaline is represented here by Pluto. The keywords are protection, purification, and grounding. Regeneration is the act of physically and spiritually becoming anew. It's literally and figuratively shedding skin so you can change and grow. When you're on the path towards enlightenment, it causes you to lead a life you did not lead before. You begin to change your behaviors, thoughts, actions, and reactions and regenerate your spirit. You need to realize, though, that in order to experience a regeneration, you have to put in the work, and a lot of this work pertains to your shadow self. When working on your shadow self, you will be prompted to face your darkness and any deep-rooted emotions that may have been compartmentalized, so you can put on a brave face. One planet that relates all too well to regeneration and challenging your shadow self is Pluto. Larger than life, omnipotent, alchemical, Pluto has a force that is among the most intense of all the heavenly bodies in the solar system. If life seems like a personal hell, look to Pluto for help, but don't expect him to do the heavy lifting for you. Pluto reveals your vices, addictions, and your own undoing. But like a phoenix rising from the ashes, he can show you how to transform that lead into gold. This will always involve a symbolic death. Remember that you're dealing with the ruler of Hades, and something must be released in order for something new to be born. Pluto knows that nothing ever really dies, that it simply transmutes into another form and regenerates. When experiencing powerful regeneration, it's essential to use an equally powerful stone to provide the purification and protection you require. Black tourmaline is the potent, grounding stone that will shield you from negativity in any form. It takes negative energies from your person and environment and transmutes them into positive energy that emits new, higher vibrations. And the affirmation is, I embrace my darkness. I acknowledge the shadow that is a part of myself. I call in regeneration and rebirth to cleanse all that is no longer serving my highest good. So yeah, that's going right with the theme there. So let's get a final card here today from the Sacred Destiny Oracle, just to give us a final message from Spirit for the month of October. And once again, please, if anything in this reading strikes a nerve with you, follow it, follow your own intuition, follow your own rabbit holes, do your own kind of research into it. These are just general descriptions from the books, and I'm not, saying they're bad descriptions. I'm just saying that you hold the power as the creator of your life to find your own truth, to find your own way. And these archetypes are just their guides and their options for our expansion. And they can lead us down some really interesting roads if you feel called. So please always follow your own rabbit holes with this advice. All right, dear Spirit, do you have a final message for us today for the month of October? This month, which is obviously extremely dynamic and deep and transformative. You have a message for us through all this death and rebirth. We got community. Okay. So the description of the card is the ancient forest. The towering ancient trees in a forest look distinct from one another, yet beneath the surface of the earth their roots are intertwined. The roots act like a kind of communication system through the community of trees. Instantaneous messages travel through this underground system. Nutrients can travel on this network. Trees at one side of the forest can supply the nourishment required on the other side of the forest. Danger at one side of the network is communicated to the far ends of the intertwined roots. And already this is reminding me of when we're talking about our ancestors with the whale card, that we have, we're physical beings like a tree that you can see, but we're so energetically connected to everything around us. The plants, the animals, the crystals. That's why I love doing these readings, because it helps us remember, like, even in our darkest times, like, we're never alone. We can be very alone in the physical world or feel very alone, but we always have, the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, the crystal kingdom, the ancestors, our spirit guides. We have so much support and love at all times through any challenge, as long as we can open our hearts and open our eyes and our imaginations and let them in. So I think that it's a beautiful, uplifting message, when we're dealing with really deep things, that you're not alone in it. Even if you can't afford a therapist, if you maybe know one to talk to or feel that way, you can go sit with a tree. Trees are amazing therapists. You can talk to the stars, you can talk to the moon, you can talk to, like, there's infinite community for all of us. And, I always joke, most of my social circle is invisible. Yeah. um, so this sacred landscape wants you to know support is all around you, even if you're not consciously aware of it. Allow yourself to be supported. Give encouragement to others. The more you allow yourself to be supported, the more your dreams can come true. If you believe you have to do it all alone, you will. Your true family is not just blood relationships. Sometimes the strongest family ties are with friends who know who you are. Sometimes they are your ancestors and soul family who reside in spirit. This card speaks of finding your community and your quote unquote people. It is a card of remembering that your people are at your side, believing in you, loving you, and standing strong beside you. Call on your community, ask for their assistance. They are only a thought away. All right, beautiful. I'm sending so much love to all of you. I hope you have a very magical and transformative and fun. I hope you can have some fun too this October. And I'm sending you all so much blessings and love.